Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Some dairy farmers are adapting to tough market conditions. Chef Tammy shows us an unusual way to serve a summertime treat. And we'll learn how some horse owners are sharing their love with special clients.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay. Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Richland's Dairy and Creamery in Dinwiddie County. Dairy farming has been tough in recent years. Ricky Gibson reports many farmers have switched gears in order to stay in business.
2 decades ago, Virginia had more than 1,000 dairy farms producing fresh milk. As of June 2020, that number had dropped to 463. Consumer preferences have changed, and milk is no longer as popular a beverage choice as it once was. Milk prices have been low for the past 5 years and keep dropping. That's forced many dairy farmers to make the hard choice to get out of the business.
Paying bills was an issue. And I guess the biggest one, the next generation, my sons said they really didn't want to be tied to this lifestyle for the rest of their lives. So we made the decision to get out. We've been milking cows as a family since 1898, so long history. And yeah, it certainly was emotional. To see the cows go was emotional. But in the end, it was the right decision.
Lee Pemberton and his sons now raise small grains, hay, and some beef cattle and say life is easier without the financial worries. Hundreds of other Virginia farm families have also left the dairy business, but others have adapted to stay profitable. In 2012, the Leach family in Rockbridge County installed the first robotic milking system in the state. It saved them money and improved their efficiency.
What we set out to do was upgrade the milking parlor. We looked at different designs and got quotes, and the dealer actually suggested that we look at robotic milkers. And at the time we were a little bit, I don't know, we're like, okay, we'll look, but that was about all we thought we were doing. And after we went and looked at farms, we realized that was something we really needed to do a lot more research on and really need to strongly consider.
The high-tech approach has paid off. They can milk more cows. They have lower labor costs. The cow collars have radio chips that allow them to better track the health of their animals, and the equipment allows the cows to choose when to milk.
When we milked in the parlor, you walked through the barn and the cows were like, okay, I'm going, I'll get up and head toward the milking parlor. Now you walk through the barn and the cows look at you like, what are you doing in my space? Like, this is my barn.
Leach says the robotic milking machines were expensive, but it was an investment her parents were willing to make so she and her brother could continue their family's 50-year history of milking cows. In Dinwiddie County, another dairy family also chose to expand their operation, but in a different direction. The Jones family decided to sell directly to the public and built their own creamery processing plant.
We didn't really have the land suitable to go to 1,000+ cow dairy, and so really I'd wanted to build a creamery for several years. So really the best option we had was to change the business model to one where somebody told us what we were going to get paid for milk to one where we set the price for what we would get paid for our milk.
Drinkwater says they sell at farmers markets and to other farmers, independent grocery stores, and the general public. Ice cream is their big seller, but they also sell bottled milk and have a sandwich shop.
They are milked twice a day. Once the milk goes into the milk tank at the farm, we have a transport tank at the creamery, so we'll go over and pick that milk up and then bring it over to the creamery. Once it comes to the creamery, it will be pasteurized and then either bottled or turned into ice cream mix, and we make our own ice cream right here in the store as well.
Drinkwater says it's stressful to run both a dairy farm and a creamery, but she and her family are glad they took the plunge. So are their customers, some of whom were dropping by regularly during the early months of the coronavirus quarantine.
We would ask some of them, how was your wait? I'm so sorry you had to wait so long. And they would say, look, we could be at home staring at each other, or we could be here in the car watching the cows in the pasture. We've had live bands or musicians set up so you could see the cows, you could listen to music. At the end of your car ride, you had ice cream waiting. So it was a chance for people to get out, go somewhere to a destination, have fun, kind of retain a little bit of normalcy, I think, because ice cream is such a comfort food, but then maintain that social distancing as well.
Locally produced foods have become more popular with consumers during the pandemic, and dairy farmers are urging shoppers to purchase local milk whenever they can. You can enter the code from a milk carton at whereismymilkfrom.com to see where it was processed.
I think the corona pandemic has helped the dairy industry because people have found out what whole milk is again.
Farming has always been a challenging business, but farmers tend to be resourceful and optimistic. The good news is some dairy farmers are seeing their business risks pay off. In Dinwiddie County, Virginia, I'm Ricky Gibson reporting.
Virginia's dairy industry has been in a relatively steep decline for the past 5 years. In 2014, the value of milk produced in the Old Dominion came to almost $481 million. By 2018, it had dropped to $286 million. The biggest factor is simply a dramatic drop in demand. Milk is still Virginia's official state beverage, but far fewer consumers drink it regularly. Competition from sports drinks, sodas, and plant-based beverages has drained dairy's market share. That's despite the fact that milk is one of the most nutritional foods you can consume.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up on In the Garden, I'm going to talk about pruning lilacs. Stay with us.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
Did your lilacs bloom this spring? Mark Viette says one reason gardeners don't see blooms is age. It may be time to rejuvenate your plants in the garden.
A common question I get is, my lilacs are not blooming anymore. Well, for one thing, they might be in too much shade. But another thing is they may be too old, and these are the lilacs with lots of stems coming out of the ground. And if they do bloom, you don't see the blooms because the blooms are on top of 15 to 20-foot stems. This is what you might end up with, a very old lilac. Short, stubby flowers. Can't really cut this and put it in a vase. This is really what you want. Long stems, so if you do cut them, they look great in a vase. Now, thinning out you can do throughout the year. Thinning out is a process where you take out some of the oldest growth. Now, I spent an hour and a half last night and another half hour today thinning out the lilac behind me. And I went through and took the oldest stems out, and the flowers were way at the top that I could not see. I mean, really, you'd have to get on a ladder to be able to see the flowers. So my lilac did bloom, but I just didn't see the flowers. So I went in, and here is the lilac that I thinned out. So I've left nice, new, young growth. These hand saws are great. And you take out, and I took this out because it was damaged in the past. and that thins it out. Next year, I'll come out and take out some of the old branches. This is a great workout, time consuming, but there is an easier way to prune your lilacs. Wow, that was a good workout, but only 20 minutes compared to 2 hours and a better workout thinning out the lilac to my right. Thinning out can be done any of the 12 months throughout the year, but when it comes to rejuvenation or cutting back hard your lilacs, ideal times to do that would be February, March, April, May, so there's still plenty of time for this lilac to grow throughout the rest of the season. In 3 years, you'll be surprised. This lilac will be taller than me and it'll send up beautiful blooms. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley. We have a great grilled arugula and pear salad here for you and a great watermelon salad to add to your summertime menus. Coming up next on Virginia Heart of the Home.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
Virginia watermelon is a summertime favorite. Chef Tammy Brawley introduces us to a new way to enjoy this juicy fruit in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley. Welcome to a special outdoor edition of Virginia Heart of the Home. Today we're going to be making some delicious salads. Summertime is here and we are ready to enjoy that fresh, bountiful Virginia produce. But I'm going to show you something unique. We're actually going to be grilling here today, but what we're going to grill is not meat. We're actually going to grill watermelon and we're going to grill a pear. So what we're going to do is we have a grill pan warming up here. We're just going to spray it with a little non-stick spray. I've got some nice sliced watermelon, seedless watermelon if at all possible. And we're simply going to put it on our grill pan. We'll just do the one piece, I think that's enough. And then we're also going to go ahead and grill a pear. But we're simply going to cut down a couple of wedges here. For this size salad, you probably want about 6 or so pieces of the pear. Pop those right on your grill pan. Should be nice and hot by the time you put your fruit on. Now, one thing you might have noticed me doing is that I've left the rind on and I've left the peel. Anytime you grill a fruit like that, you do want to leave the rind and the peel because it helps keep the fruit intact. If you were to do it without the rind or the peel, it would probably get a little mushy and would fall apart. So leave the peel and leave the rind on the watermelon. We're going to do 2 salads, as I mentioned at the beginning. We're actually going to do a mixed green salad with some gorgeous local greens there, and we've got some nice, beautiful, small cherry tomatoes. And then we're also going to do an arugula salad. The arugula salad is going to be home to the grilled pear and some feta at the end, and then the watermelon salad is going to have the watermelon, the tomatoes, and then a delicious dressing using raspberry vinegar and Greek yogurt. So while our fruit is grilling, we can go ahead and actually make our dressings. We have got a bowl that we're going to simply add some Greek yogurt. We want about 1/2 cup or so. We're going to add a couple of teaspoons of raspberry vinegar. And we're going to add a couple of teaspoons of sherry vinegar. Going to add a little salt and pepper to that. You'll find these recipes on Virginia Heart of the Home's website, and it's going to tell you to actually toss the tomatoes with 1/2 of the vinaigrette dressing, and that's totally fine. You're just going to develop a nice flavor profile with that. All right, so for the arugula salad, very basic dressing. We're using my favorite tool in the kitchen, a mason jar here. I've already got 2 parts of olive oil. Why not go ahead and add 2 parts of our vinegar. Excuse me, 2 parts olive oil, 1 part balsamic vinegar. And anytime you want to make a marriage of an oil and a vinegar or an acid and an oil, you want to add a little bit of Dijon mustard. That will help suspend our oil molecules. All right, so we've got olive oil, balsamic vinegar, and Dijon mustard in our mason jar. Now I'm going to go ahead and toss that with the arugula. Might not need as much dressing as what you've made, so just really want to lightly dress it. And we're going to check our grilling again. Just trying to get a few grill marks, not much, but a little bit. All right, our watermelon has got a nice grill pattern on one side. While that's going on, we can chop some fresh basil for that watermelon salad. All right, while the pears are finishing, we'll go ahead and cut our watermelon. You want to pull the grilled piece over to your board. Now's the time to cut that rind off. I'm just going to cut it into spears, but you guys, if you wanted to dice it, you certainly could. I like a presentation on a salad. I think it's beautiful. It's what we call a composed salad. Some nice grilled watermelon in the middle there. And then we're going to just toss that with a little bit of feta cheese. A little bit more color in your salad. And now our delicious Greek yogurt, raspberry vinegar, sherry vinegar dressing on the top there. And then that last little bit of chopped basil that I did. Nice little garnish on top of that. And there is one of the salads, one of the delicious salads that I love in the summer. Grilled watermelon, feta cheese, some fresh cherry tomatoes, some fresh greens, and then that delicious dressing there at the end. All of that is Virginia grown produce, and I'm happy to be using it today. Now our next salad is our arugula and grilled pear. And I like to use, this is a red pear, a red boxed pear. I like to use anything with color. It always makes your plate look so much better. So we're going to put our grilled pears around our arugula salad there. Now we've already got our dressing on there. You might have remembered that. A little bit of 2 parts olive oil, 1 part balsamic, and a little dollop of Dijon mustard. And now we've got our grilled fruit on there. And then we're going to come back and we're going to finish this salad with some crumbled feta. Put that right on top. Thank you for joining us today on Heart of the Home. We hope you'll join us again.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com and visit Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com. Watermelon is one of the more popular summer crops raised in the Old Dominion. It's produced on 338 farms covering 773 acres. Most watermelon are sold fresh, either in grocery chains or at farmers markets or even direct from the farm. Most commercial watermelon farms are east of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and Southampton County is the largest watermelon producing locality. Watermelon is harvested from mid-July to the end of August. A few hobbyists also grow giant watermelons for fun. The largest giant watermelon entered for judging at the State Fair of Virginia weighed 254 pounds in 2018.
Horseback riding is a popular sport for Virginians of all ages. Burke Muller reports many horse owners share their animals with special needs riders, to the joy of everyone involved.
Buckingham County likes to call itself the heart of Virginia, but not all of the hearts that are open in this part of the state are human. Some have hoofs and manes, but they stand ready to build a connection with someone in need, especially children.
We provide services to local schools that send students over here in their special needs programs, and those students come over for a classroom portion as well as a horseback riding portion.
Heartland Horse Heroes program started offering mainstream riding lessons in 2008, but one of Dowd's students had special needs, and Dowd quickly became interested in therapeutic horse training. By 2010, Dowd had moved Heartland Horse Heroes to her ranch in Buckingham County. 2 years ago, she discovered new meaning for her work after having a daughter with Down syndrome.
She has low muscle tone with Down syndrome. It's associated with Down syndrome. And so riding a horse causes her to sit up tall and causes her to hold on a little bit with her legs. And she used to just basically be like slime on the horse. It took myself and her father to hold her in position.
Heartland is one of several facilities around the state that offer horse therapy. Many of these riding groups, like Equinity Equine Therapy and Activities, use techniques developed by the Equine Assisted Growth and Learning Association.
It couples a mental health professional with an equine specialist. And what I love about it is that it's all non-mounted activity. You don't need to have any experience with a horse in order to be able to use the Agala model. And it focuses solely on the process, not the task. And it helps people to really uncover baggage that they might not even know that they have over the years. It helps people grow through responsibility, caring for the horses.
Many horse therapy facilities had to shut down due to pandemic restrictions and are only now beginning to reopen.
Here at Healing Strides of Virginia, just outside Roanoke, anyone can get horse therapy, but they specialize in young children, patients with special needs, and veterans.
Carol Young runs Healing Strides of Virginia, which started in 1991 in Franklin County. She's been here since 2008.
That horse knows where to meet us. They meet us exactly where we are at that moment on that day.
Jason Hogenkamp has served in many U.S. military campaigns over the past 30 years, in Panama, Iraq, Bosnia, and other countries. He grew up around horses and has rediscovered the bond he had with them.
Was released from the military in the early 2000s, and I lost that inability to communicate effectively with people. And the horse lives in a silent world, and that's something that from my childhood I remembered. Horses being able to communicate with one another without saying anything, and I wasn't really keen on talking or being able to express my feelings to anybody. So I started working with horses again in 2001 and 2, and really started trying to find myself again.
Sayward McKinney is also a combat veteran injured in the Second Iraq War. She'll never walk or talk the way she did before her trauma, but she's also found a connection with horses through therapy.
They found a AVM in my head. It's called arterial venous malformation. And festivals that are in your head that should be small, they were really big and kind of having too much blood flowing through it and stuff. So they were trying to treat it. I had 5 surgeries in 2 years and actually had a stroke after my last treatment. And so that left me with my right side disabled. It's hard for me to talk sometimes. I have aphasia, so sometimes it's hard for me to get my words out. Sometimes it's hard for me to write and read and all that stuff.
Despite her injuries, she too found a connection and a way forward with her life through horseback therapy.
I was at Walter Reed, and my lady that was in charge of my rehab kind of told me about healing, or told me about Arlington Cemetery, where they have the case on horses that pull the caskets, and so I've been riding with them since then. And I had two sidewalkers, one on each side, and then I had someone actually holding the reins to tell the horse where to go and stuff. And then when I got here, it was kind of the same thing.
Sayward can already see the next step in her odyssey. She recently found out she'll be competing in the Special Olympics. Every rider and every horse will discover their own path, but one thing's for sure, it will be a journey well worth taking. In Franklin County, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.